Hello and welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me. Since the last broadcast, I've had police at my door questioning me over a breach of Cho directives, which is an entirely false allegation. I had to remind them that journalism is not a crime. I will continue to attend protests and provide footage and interviews to the best of my ability. I also want to acknowledge those that have been impacted by the latest weather disaster. My heart goes out to those suffering from the floods. I'll be covering this urgent crisis situation later on in the week, but on to today's show, we'll be hearing from Korinne Wilson, an occult priestess, a teacher of Reiki, and an expert psychic of over 30 years. She has a wealth of knowledge that the viewers can benefit from, so let's cross over to that interview now. Hi, Korinne. Thank you very much for appearing on the We Are Change talk show. I wish it was under happier circumstances. We've had floods, wars, famine. It just seems endless, all the problems that we're facing here in the world. How are you managing there?
Well, I'm very happy. I'm in Los Angeles, California, and I'm very happy to be visiting Australia today, a place of many woes and sorrows, and to be with We Are Change. That's really cool. I first heard about We Are Change back when we occupied Wall Street. So that was some time ago. As I knew I was going to be meeting with you today, I wore white as a healing color. And they also have little ohms all over my shirt, which is, to send out that loving peace vibe to anyone who comes across this video or the podcast. And of course, my Buddha beads. So we're here in spirit, in prayer today with all of you. Regardless of what we talk about, energetically, we're sending love.
That's wonderful and very much needed here in this time of a crisis. So please expand on your background for the viewers so they can get an understanding of how you came into this space.
I was born a rebel, right? That's really all you need in this world, to be a weirdo or a freak or different. I rebelled. So I grew up in a Jehovah's Witness family, which is a religion all over the world. But here in America, it's pretty prevalent. Jehovah's Witness, I have come to learn for myself through my own research and life experience that it is a cult, and it is brainwashing, and it is social engineering in a religious sense. And so I learned so much. Yes, I was a child. Yes, I was innocent. But I learned so much through that lie, if you will. And living that lie, even though they call themselves the truth. So that prepared me for the New World Order. Also, Jehovah's Witnesses actually preach about the New World Order and exactly what's going on right now. And so many of them, I'm sure, quite freaked out. But also, before I can remember, really, I had something that the old world called old hag syndrome, but nowadays we call it sleep paralysis. And so it's basically a demonic haunting from my ancestor realm. So someone in my bloodline who had died wanted to eat my light, basically. And that happened, that was prevalent, so much so that I'm in a film about it called The Nightmare by Rodney Asher, who also did the film 237. But aside all of that, I am a spiritual guru type lady, and I take people from darkness to light. Guru, the word G-U-R-U, G-U-R-U? Yes, guru means darkness, light. So I love the simplicity of Buddhism, although I do claim that I'm many spiritualities.
That's remarkable. And I've heard that as well. People that have left the Jehovah's Witness church, they have similar experiences. They felt like there was a lot of control mechanisms put in place and they were dictated to, and then when they left, they felt ostracized from their family. So yes,
You don't just feel ostracized. You actually literally are ostracized. They are not allowed to talk to you. And that is, again, the agenda of breaking up the family, is it not?
Most certainly. And yes, they're trying to do that now more than ever. The divide and conquer, the breaking down of the family unit, having the children raised by the state. This is all drafted up in their plans, which is very alarming what we're facing. And a lot of parents are trying to get their children withdrawn from school, and a lot of education at home, homeschooling. A lot of people are looking at that as an option because they just do not trust the education system. So this is all something we have to be very mindful of. And you mentioned sleep paralysis. That can be, very frightening for some people. They wake up in their bed and they feel paralyzed. Some people have tried to compare it to some type of abduction experience. They believe that what it was. But yes, this is naturally occurring as well, isn't it? And you must have
supernaturally occurring.
Yeah, in some rare cases. And so you've managed to overcome this. This is something that you've faced a very long time, have you?
Yes, I had sleep paralysis. Sometimes I still have. During this time of change, I've had a couple of ickies grab me in my sleep, but it's not like it used to be at all. And I think that what I told Rodney Asher, the director of the film The Nightmare, I said, my shadow's going to go live in your film. I no longer need it. So that was a form of purging, cleansing, and trapping a spirit, basically.
Yeah, it's very fascinating information. And
I also wanted to really quick, if you don't mind, sorry, I'm an Aquarius, What's your sign?
I'm Sagittarius.
Oh, wonderful. We get along great together. You're the truth teller, Sagittarius. So I wanted the audience to know that I did an entire series on what's going on with our children in the school system and how it has been infiltrated by Marxist, fascists, name your label here, evil, basically, because I don't see all of these forms with all these labels. I just see good, bad. It's pretty, that's discernment. And hopefully we all get there real quick, really fast. But it's called the All Out Warfare series. And you can find that on Rockfin under Occult Priestess, completely uncensored. But it's like a 5-part series of what they are doing to our children. And anyone new to the New World Order or this topic who has little ones, please watch the series.
Very important. I advise the viewers to follow up on that. Useful information that could even potentially save a life or
many lives, a whole village and community. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you mentioned horoscopes. A lot of people add a lot of merit to that. Different star signs, how
astrology.
The
astrology you get in your newspaper is very across the board. But when you go to a professional, which I'm not a professional astrologer, but I talk to them often. I've been studying astrology for about 30 years, and I still won't call myself an astrologer. It is an exact art science. And so go to a professional. It's like fake news. You know what I mean? You got to go to the right source.
Yeah, very much so. And they don't teach that in schools as they should. There's a lot of value to this. And
because they don't want us to know the stars, because the stars tell the story of our soul. And if you get into the stars, then you will know thyself. And that is not what they want.
That's exactly it. And people don't, they're not able to really look into certain pathways of learning and education. They're prohibited from looking into that. A lot of information has been suppressed. They don't want people to know their higher self, do they?
That's right. The soul, the higher self. Yeah. Psyche, the word psyche itself means soul. And psychology, in my opinion, is the rape of the soul.
Yeah, that's a very descriptive term. And
indeed.
Yes. But, and as well, natural psychic abilities and perception, a lot of that is suppressed with the fluoride, the genetically modified organisms, people's diet and nutrition, and therefore that calcifies the pineal gland, which is something that's happening on a mass scale worldwide, isn't it?
Yeah, something you've been dealing with lately that I saw is you had a targeted individual on. And I will tell you, almost all intuitives I've ever met are targeted individuals, and not necessarily by the government. Before, where did the government learn it from? They learned it from evil. So, there's been hauntings in everything, chemtrails, blah, 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 everything you can think of for the New World Order before in our past was some form of evil that we were dealing with. But now it has a face. It has, Bilderberg Group. It has so many descriptors. But really, I'd like people to know, if you study Buddhism, even just for a minute, or even watch your Star Wars really closely, it's all about vibration and feeling what you feel. And that's your intuition. And that's what you should be really working with right now. Does this feel positive and loving? Or does this feel egoic, which it can feel good, but it's not good for you? Like overeating, right? Feels good, but then you feel crappy afterwards, or even drinking, it's too much sex, all of that excess. And I know you've probably heard that story about the rats. They want me to bring up right now. At the end of civilizations, they did this scientific study to take rats to believe that they were at the end of their civilization. And most of the rats just sat around and cleaned themselves and were narcissistic and full of vanity. I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly where we are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it reminds me of some of the tests that they have, the rapid antigen tests. They call that rats. That's how I believe they view the public.
Yes, we are lab rats. Yes.
Vermin. That's exactly right. And
I also call him Elon Musk. I call him Elon Lab Rat Musk Love. So if you know that song, Muskrat Love.
Yes.
That's Elon's theme song, because, he put the neural link inside of pigs, and he's probably done it with real people. And we understand that Elon's probably an actor, but all these crazy scientists are doing some really disgusting things to beautiful, innocent humans.
That's exactly what's happening. And it seems like the way the whole government is structured, they get the most intelligent minds and they use their knowledge for evil, don't they?
Exactly. All we have to look back is the guy who made rain, the Oregon technology. Is that Reich? Wilhelm Reich? Mm-hmm. Who made that, and there's a book about it, and there's a bunch of lore about it, but he made a rain-making machine. And Kate Bush, my favorite artist, Kate Bush, made a song and a video about cloud busting, which is about how he was caught by the government, and then they basically kidnapped him to use his technology. And anyone who was getting good at science in the 50s, 40s, 50s, were kidnapped basically if they weren't compliant.
Yes, absolutely. And we're seeing a lot of that now, the rainmaking, the geoengineering, the weather weapons,
the flooding,
cloud seeding. That's absolutely right.
And they have admitted in the LA Times that they have cloud seeded. This is not a conspiracy theory, which is always going to turn out right. So kids, if you call something a conspiracy theory, just know it's truth in the past. You are in the past. In the future, it's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's a lot of healing modalities that people aren't really privileged to know, such as sound healing. Yeah. You're familiar with that? And a certain hertz frequency.
528.
Yes, that's exactly right. And
I know.
That promotes healing, doesn't it?
Well, 528 is known as the heart frequency. In any form of any vibration, music, art, the sunset, is that 528 tone.
Very important, and people should definitely be looking into that and all these different natural practices and remedies.
There's a website for that called Heart Math, so they can go ahead and look that up. And there's a lot of books. Musicians love getting sound healing books and then put it into their rock and roll.
Yeah, it is very important. And water as well. Some people don't know the importance of water. Like they say, the body's made up of majority of water, and how these molecules can help. That's important too, isn't it?
Yeah, you need everything from nature, and that's the thing. We've gotten away from nature. You wouldn't have to tell people they need more water if we were in nature, because they'd be doing it automatically. And that's the matrix, isn't it, Jeff?
It certainly is. And what we've seen here recently at the capital city, Canberra, a lot of people suffered from radiation sickness attributed to a lot of these towers.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, and people were suffering from blisters, burns. They were unable to hold down water, and they were getting migraines. And a lot of people were suffering from these attacks. Some people say copper can help try to minimize the exposure. Would you recommend people look into that? And what other methods would one take if they're worried about radiation poisoning, would you say?
I'm not very scientific or physical. I want you to know that.
Yeah.
If I had the problem, I would speak to the natural realm and say, what can I do to heal this, or to your gods or your guides? So I'm really in the moment. I'm told what to do. So, okay. We do love seaweed, green algae, any deep sea vegetable, thank you, is going to be good for that. So they say. So look it up, you guys. Always check my spirit guides' work.
Absolutely. Now, that's good advice. A lot of psychic abilities. The government was looking into remote viewing, CIA operations, and they would recruit people with skills such as yours to assist them for nefarious operations and spying on the enemy. There was information released, psychic spies. Now, your work, you would have a lot of these skills that would be of great benefit for such operations, wouldn't you?
Yeah. The first time I heard about evildoers using psychics, I mean, in time, would have been back at the time of Blavatsky, Helena Blavatsky, and the Theosophical Society. Say that 3 times real fast. Theosophical Society.
Yeah.
And they took prepubescent 9-year-old girls and put them in trance against their will and had them go spy on their enemies so that they could, start the UN, start American school system, and all of this, build up this big new world order. Part of that octopus arm is theosophy with the United Nations, right? Together. Oh, that's a lot to say. So where were we at? Oh, what's happening today, right? And what was the topic?
But that's right. And a lot of remote viewing and psychic abilities.
Thank you. Yeah. That's it. Remote viewing. So when I was 30, I had what we call a Kundalini awakening, which is basically my higher self jumped into my body. And we didn't know reality from non-reality. And we weren't very well acquainted with this reality. I'll just say it that much. And all of a sudden, I had this huge download that remote viewers were the worst evil on the planet. And then I started to feel like I was being watched. And then I felt like I was being, physical pop-ups, communication chats of people I don't know, just popping up out of the blue, which was very, very odd. And then that was that targeted individual feeling. But was it evil? Was it the government? The only reason now that we know that we have to ask that question is because the government has become evil.
That's right.
When I say, is it supernatural evil? That's what I'm always wondering, as an old fashioned girl, when I had sleep paralysis, I didn't see aliens. I saw a 3D shadow, which is the old form. And so I saw original forms because I'm an original person I'm just very old for this planet. My soul is. And there's a lot of newbies here. And those are the ones that see the aliens. I'm not saying they don't see aliens, but I'm saying that form isn't old enough for me to recognize. And then you can slip into how did aliens get into our psyche? Brainwashing, right? But also remote viewing isn't just remote viewing. It's remote hypnotism. So if they have a master doing it, that master can go out and program people like Inception in their dreams, right? And all of this what I was born with. My last name is Wilson. I am the son, S-U-N, of willpower. And the divine will of God is what I follow. Each human has a choice if they're going to follow the imbalanced egoic will that has all the problems, or if they're going to give their will over to the divine source of love. And that's the discernment that we all need to get through any crap we're going through in any incarnation. And that's the level I speak on, which most people, I guess a lot of people don't quite understand the absolutism of what I'm saying. But that's what Buddhism does too. It's pretty absolute, but it's also simple. And it makes you're able to be more childlike and playful with your spirituality, and not think and understand that you're working for the good side, and none of the hellfire and all of that stuff is going to bother you. Right.
Yeah.
But it's just about being mature spiritually, growing up spiritually, and God, the Father, Mother, God, whatever you want to call it, will help you if you ask.
And sadly, what we see with a lot of people in power, they give themselves over to satanic forces, and their body becomes a vessel for evil. And
I agree.
Yeah, a lot of the witchcraft that they're involved in, and summoning of demons. We even see this with a lot of magicians as well. Some people, they say they summon demons to help them do a lot of the tricks. And yeah, that's a subject that not a lot of people discuss, do they?
That's true. But, you know, there's a simpler form of evil that I think infects most of our neighbors. And that is materialism. And they sold their soul, their will for materialism. And that is the plague of our day. Selfish, me, I, mine, materialism.
Yes. And a lot of people fall victim to some of these negative behavior patterns.
They're not victims. They're not. That's my point. This is their free will choice. I came from, you know, the Jehovah's Witness cult, but also I had an abusive childhood. So I was beat up a lot, and I had a lot of, you know, I was such a normal kid, even under all those circumstances, because I was always me, but I was me in those circumstances. You understand? Your character is up to you. How you grow is up to you. And if you have what I call like having a lot of light in your body, which is you cultivate the light in your body by doing the right thing, the good thing, then it makes whatever you're suffering kind of bearable. And that reminds me, I wanted to bring this out for the Aussies today. I've never brought it out before. This is Wonder Woman's Book of Wisdom, the wisdom of Wonder Woman. And I've never tried it before, like to do, it's called bibliomancy, where you just randomly open it. So right before we came on camera, I tried it for me personally. And I was like, will this work as that kind of book? And it did, because it said, you can, if you could not bear our pain, you are not fit to carry our strength. And so I'm going to show the picture to everybody.
Yeah.
If I can. Wait a minute.
Yep, there we go.
This is difficult because I've got so much lighting going on. I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to do this for Australia, if you don't mind. Would you pick a number between, are these numbered? Yes, they're numbered. This is how we're going to do bibliomancy now, okay? Because you can't open the book. A number between 1 and 108. And there's 108 beads on a mala, by the way.
Okay, let's go 23.
23. Okay. Is there any special reason why you picked 23?
No, but I was trying to avoid some of the occult numbers like 13 and 33. And
that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. This is very graphic. That's funny because here we go. 23. 23, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this is amazing. I wish I could make you see it. Here, come down.
Yep.
So it says she could do it, right?
Yep.
But it's about a man.
Right.
Okay, it says, I'm the man who can. So That is amazing. So you are a male Wonder Woman. Congratulations, hero. This is amazing. But, it's about you and Australia in that sense. That's great. I'm the man who can. So that's
brilliant.
Rebel yell.
Yeah, a lot of people need positive affirmations and healthy thoughts as well, because it's easy to be lulled into some of these negative frequencies and start to think doom and gloom. So when people, reaffirm some positive thinking, that can really help in dark times, can't it?
Yeah, this says the truth is my weapon. And, a lot of people read the Bible. Hey, I'm a Greek girl, ancient Greek. I just, get out my ancient Greek goddess book and deal with Wonder Woman. But yeah, it's not just about the words, because I found I think what we're calling toxic positivity, is that what we're calling it these days? People who are just white light and fluffy bunny and everything's going to be great. And, I'm bleeding out of my neck. I might die in the next 5 minutes, but it's awesome. And that is just denial. It's a form of denial. And that is where I will never drive the car. If you want to get in my car, we're never going to Denial Street.
You have to be realistic as well, don't you?
Always. Positivity is honestly, I think it's a heaven-like emotion, and it comes from real understanding and real inward knowing. I'm not happy at this world, but I'm happy inside.
And that's an important way to be. Now, a lot of occult and esoteric knowledge is taught at Freemasonic lodges, and in a lot of these secret societies, they focus on this. And it's very important to them. The dates, times, moon phases, under certain conditions, they can perform a ritual, they can draw in dark energy. This is taught at a lot of these lodges, isn't it?
Yeah, but I ask you, how do you plan 500 years in the future without astrology? Because usually their interpretations, especially their symbolic interpretations, are completely wrong. And so as far as the actual occult goes, I know the occult. I'm the occult priestess. They're a bunch of high magician players, hustlers. They're evil, which means they'll never know the occult, like for real, what the occult really is. And the occult for other people out there, it just means hidden. But the truth is, it means if you are not initiated by heaven to have eyes and ears, then you're going to be deaf, dumb, and blind. And that's what that means. So
well said. And signs and symbols can be used for good and evil, can't they?
Thank you. With the swastika, it originally came from Ganesh, and it was a sign of peace and wisdom. And actually, I've used the swastika spiritually. You put on your third eye and you swing it like a blade, and it cuts through bullshit. It's awesome. But then there's the right.
Yes,
and that's my point. Because they thought it would give them power, but they only came from a bigger master who came from a bigger master. It's a big Russian doll. And when you get to the end of it, it's just evil.
Yeah, very much so. Would you recommend people look into meditation as well?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to hopefully start teaching meditation. But it is a willpower thing, that it will really grow your willpower, but also many people just need what we call an ego death, which is a way to see themselves outside of themselves and to observe themselves for real and not, it's a different set of eyes. It's a different set of eyes. And meditation can give you that second set of eyes.
Well said. And that's a good way to frame it for the viewers to get an understanding. And a topic that I've covered many years ago was Reiki, how people channel the universal chi, and then they can clear out someone's chakras and auras and also promote healing. It's very important, isn't it?
Did you become a Reiki practitioner?
No, but I interviewed someone that was a 3rd degree master in the art of Reiki.
That's what you're doing right now. So yeah, I'm a Reiki master teacher, which means I can pass on the healing attunements. And I would like to give Reiki 1 for free to anyone who has a show that's doing hero work, mister. So consider getting your Reiki 1 from me, and we could do it just like we're doing this. We could, it's hard, but we can do it.
Yeah. And people have even been applying that in hospitals as well to help people. So
yeah, legally in America, legally, you can get into a hospital to do Reiki. It's like approved. Yeah.
So there is a lot of benefits.
Even for like the church people who do the hands-on healing, it's very powerful. You don't have to do Reiki itself, as long as you are channeling that love from heaven with no control features and just allowing it to flow, just like your cat does.
Very important. And I'm sure a lot of your clients would have a lot of positive comments, and you'd be getting a lot of good feedback.
Oh, definitely. Well, see, I've been in this profession for over 30 years, and it's the only profession I've ever had. And I've survived. So people don't take care of you and pay your bills unless you're doing a good job. And I can say I've lived off of the communities that I've been in. And that is, kind of a free pass of, well, you should be here because we all paid for you to be here. And it's a really good reputation.
Yeah, and you do a lot of interviews. A lot of people reach out, like myself. They're eager to get a further understanding of your professional work and what you do. So that must be very rewarding in itself, to be able to impart some of your knowledge and wisdom for others to gain from.
Yeah, when I was a little girl, I almost quit doing art. And that was a big deal for me around 6 years old, because I had all this art and I said, why am I doing all this art if no one's ever going to see it? What's the point of making it? And so I'm very glad that I could get my opinions out into the world. And even if it's just a small window, my point really is that heaven sees what I'm doing, that heaven understands what's going on. I don't need thousands and billions of fans. I want them up there. I want them watching with their popcorn. What's she going to say next? So I'm here more to impress heaven than any people.
Yeah, that's very rewarding. And you mentioned an ego death is very important. Some people look into psychedelics to try and achieve that, don't they?
They sure do. I've done ayahuasca and LSD at 16 was my first trip. And it opened the world again, like in a sunshine way. It showed me what I used to know probably before this lifetime, and allowed me to understand that my third eye was on fire, that I'm a lot more psychic than anyone I'd ever met. So ayahuasca was a totally different experience. It was like, come here, we're going to have to counsel you, because ayahuasca is the counselor. The best counselor I've ever met in the world is that darn plant ayahuasca, because it could get in there and feel all of your vibes and understand where you might be deficient, and then give you stories and visuals on how you can be less deficient, to put it, real simple.
Well said. And that's why the government wants it to be prohibited substances and illegal, because they don't want people reaching their true potential, self-discovery, and really learning oneself and getting in tune with one's soul. They don't want that, do they? They want to have people lulled into some sort of trance with the propaganda coming through the television, and just do as you're told, consume, go to work, rinse and repeat. They don't want people to understand the higher time that they should be living their life by. This seems to be reoccurring right throughout history, doesn't it?
Definitely. I did want to bring up a point about the ayahuasca. It depends on what kind of circle you're in. I was with a very generic shaman. Okay, we'll put it generic to be it nice about it. And he brought in the dead realm. And I was among the dead with all of these people. I even saw a shadow person over one of the other travelers. And I got hooked up, basically lifted up into a space above the dead realm, but that's the realm he put us in. So that's where you got to be super duper careful. If you're doing psychedelics with a group of people, or anything for that matter with a group of people, because so many things are infiltrated these days, you know, for the dark side. So I just wanted to put that caveat there. Not every circle is safe.
And yes, people should approach with caution. And yes, the company that you are around can make a lot of difference. If you're with an experienced shaman, someone that can guide you through, set the person at ease and have them relaxed. Because a lot of it is the frame of mind that somebody is in at the time. If they're going through some form of nervous breakdown, or if they're not in a good place mentally, then they can have a bad experience from it, can't they?
Because they're having a bad experience in life and they need that bad experience. But what Aya can do is speed that up over a weekend, you know, and that's great. But most of the people that are going there, that are going for the healing, are extremely like extreme cases, really, like this is their last hope or their last chance. And I think ayahuasca should be given. I hate institutions and I hate things that are all governed, but in a perfect world, Aya would be given to soldiers and anyone healing from trauma over a long period of time.
Yeah, which is important too. We have a lot of returned men and women from war zones. They have PTSD, they're suffering nightmares, their trauma is so severe. A lot of, unfortunately, soldiers turn to alcohol and substance abuse as a way of trying to numb that pain. And that doesn't heal the problem. It's a temporary solution, but a lot of the trauma still remains, doesn't it?
I was raised by a Vietnam vet, and he was extremely violent and crazy, freaking crazy, just nuts. And I wondered, you know, he had to have been nuts before he went. But as you know, in the military, anybody who volunteers, you're volunteering your will, not over to God, but over to the government. And they break your ego in the worst possible way. They make you a servant. They make you a slave. They break your will like a horse, because it's all you are. You're fodder for the fire. And I believe that war is blood sacrifice. And so don't get me started talking about war.
No, I agree. I believe that's what it is as well. And also a depopulation method.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it works both ways.
That's right. 100%. And people need to be aware of this. They don't want peace and prosperity. They want constant perpetual wars, people in turmoil, people in a state of suspense, not knowing what's next. And because when people are living in a state where everything's unpredictable, it makes them more easier to control. We see a lot of these mechanisms, fear-based mind control. That's what a lot of people need to break free from. And you can help people with this, can't you?
Yeah, it is all a form of an abusive relationship. And for most of my young years, I was codependent, and codependency is another plague upon our nation, right? Which is you can't really live without hugging on someone else. But what I found was being codependent, I was actually the strong one. I was the one giving everything and not getting, you know. And so it was like codependency. I finally learned it was being in a relationship with a vampire. I was allowing myself to go through that, but obviously so I could collect the medicine and heal others. So these relationships that people have with their governments are extremely and sometimes physically abusive relationships. But if you take the money that they take from you all the time, you know, across the world, taking our taxes or whatnot, that could give you so much of a better life. You understand? And that's like you giving to your abusive boyfriend or girlfriend who's hitting you in the face every night. So if we could just get new fables, new ways of describing the narrative of what's going on to make it more human and to make it more available to everyone, then we can understand what's going on here, take the scales off of their eyes and have the revelation, basically.
Yeah, very well said. What we have here in Australia is Uluru. Now, a lot of people say that this is the Earth's heart chakra. It's on one of the ley lines. And
Yes.
some people say that's why we're being attacked very heavily here as well in Australia. It's a spiritual battle as well. And they know
All the
exactly
beautiful
what they're doing.
Aborigines.
Yeah.
The Aboriginals, that all the cave paintings, right? I mean,
Yes.
you've got so much going on there in that spiritual mecca, for real. And when you say the heart chakra, also that's Ireland too, and in
Yes.
Scotland. And so, yeah, well, we all love each other. I've been watching Ukrainians and Russians, regular people, right, say, oh my God, this is so sad. This is horrible. Nobody wants this. They're crying. Everyone around the world is just sad that this is going on. So who's doing it? That's the point. We're not doing it. This isn't us. This is an infiltration of evil that I believe we must cleanse from the planets. But also, God has a plan. In that sense, I do believe in divine chapter writing, that God's the ultimate movie director, and we are actors in this film, and we just have to do our role. But sometimes, especially heroes, we get overzealous. We just want to kick ass.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Good explanation. And what can be very calming and very peaceful is when people go out to nature, they take a walk. That can really calm everything down. And breathing is important. There's a lot of breatharians, deep breaths, settling the person down. And yeah, a lot of people are caught up in these fast-paced lives, and their lifestyle is, very intense. Yes, just to break free. And it's just something as simple as going through the nature and a rainforest, going for a walk. That can be
and
very
take your
important.
shoes off.
Yeah.
Well, you do it. Yeah. And, say a little prayer to something bigger than you that loves you more than you can imagine.
Yeah. Sometimes, simple options can be very helpful as well. You don't have to go to anything too drastic or anything like that. So,
and also realizing we're experiencing a collective worldly trauma, conscious and unconscious. So this whole thing, obviously, things are going to change dramatically in our lifetimes forever. I believe we're at a great breaking point in history, even as far as time itself is concerned. And I start sounding like an Aquarius, but it's true. I believe the dimensions are merging and reality is going to be completely different eventually. But this is the big crescendo, right? The crux, the middle of it all. And we're going to go through it together. We are the generation that gets to usher in what I believe is the age of Aquarius, the age of truth, and the age of tripping your balls off without taking anything, because we're all awake. I mean, the Buddha was always tripping, dudes. And you wonder about the Bible and Ezekiel and all the eyeballs and all the weird stuff. They're tripping because the pineal gland naturally makes whatever chemical they want to call it. But it is just the pineal juice, which is the liquid font of light, which gets us in touch with actual reality.
Very well said. Credit to that, and simplifying it for the viewers as well. What would be your advice to somebody that's under spiritual attack and they don't see any hope for the future?
That's when you got to get real quiet. You are traumatized. You have just been through something like a car accident, is what I would emotionally and almost physically, energetically, you have been through a major car accident, and you need to treat yourself like that. And you need to calm it down, way quiet, with no lights, no sound, real quiet. And honestly, what I like to do is get back to the mother, get back to the womb, get back to that feminine beauty energy of red, swirly, pinky love, just kind of get in that womb space and stay there for at least an hour. And when you come out, you will see differently. And more than that, if you're open, you'll start being guided. And I think that's what we all need. Is we all want to call a psychic every 5 minutes now. Call your spirit guides every 5 minutes. And if you want to develop that relationship with something higher than you that loves you, then that's through meditation. And you can pick up some divination. You can pick up some tarot cards or some runes. Runes are very easy to learn, but that's an extra, like a crutch to get you to be like, I think this is what they're saying. Let me check. And then you check it with your runes. And if it, then you go, there you go. So yeah, there's always little checks. You don't blindly, I've never blindly trusted in my entire life. And boy, it drives them nuts, but it's worth it, right? It's worth it. So I am a skeptic. I was born that way, but there's only so far you can go with skepticism when you see reality.
Absolutely. And one must keep an open mind when it comes to occult practices, healing modalities, natural therapies. A lot of people have been conditioned to just dismiss anything that goes outside of conventional medicine or what they've been
That's
taught.
the matrix.
Yeah, it certainly is. So
you know that back in the days when they were burning witches and everything over in England, they killed over 1 million witches, which were doulas, which were people of the earth. They killed the shamans, and you know that they killed the Dogon. I mean, all of these special tribal people have been killed throughout the ages to make way for the New World Order. All we're trying to do is get back to the old ways again, so we understand what nature is telling us and how we can heal ourselves. I honestly think in our major countries that we've been poisoned since before we were born. Our parents were poisoned. Their parents were poisoned, all the way maybe back to the Black Plague. We have been poisoned. I think we do not know our potential as humans because they've been messing with us for this long.
Absolutely. And that's where a lot of people fall prey to some of the technology, some of the devices. They're checking their phone, they're on it 5 hours a day or more, and they become a slave to the technology as well, don't they?
Very much so. And it's an addiction. Now, there we go. We can say this is an addiction, and that could be cocaine or your telephone, but it's still an addiction. And so we go back to a root cause. What's missing? Where's that black hole? Where's that abyss within you? And how can we fill that with love?
That's brilliant. And I like the way you put that. So is there any closing statements you'd like to leave for the viewers that some people can take with them during these difficult times?
I would like to put a big diamond heart over Australia and have God's light hit that and light it up like a disco ball, and that freedom begins in Australia. And then like music, like light, as fast as lightning goes across the world and a new world emerges. That's my wish and hope for humanity. May the 1,000 years of peace begin with us. And thank you so much for welcoming me to your show. I appreciate you.
That's lovely. You're most welcome. This has been a powerful and very interesting broadcast. If people want to look up some of your background and contact you, how would they go about doing that?
Thanks for asking. I'm occultpriestess.com. That's where you can get me. You can donate, please. Thank you very much. But also you can set up an appointment so that we can go looking for your abyss if you have one. And if not, I do give great advice as well. So there's 2 different types of readings I do. And please come to my Rock Fin channel, Rockin' the Fin, with absolutely no censorship. If you sign up for a subscription with Rockfin, you not only get all of my content, but everyone on Rockfin's content. So that's really cool. It's only $9.99 a month. So I appreciate if you sign up under Occult Priestess. Otherwise, get to work, kids. Get on here, do your thing. If you're a listener and you feel like you're being called to do this, reach out to either one of us. I know you love to help people. We love to help people. So get to work and start kicking some butt. Thank you so much.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Talk again soon. It's been a pleasure. Well, that concludes today's broadcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned to the next episode, where we'll be covering this ongoing crisis situation with the flooding that's taking place. And I'll catch you on the next episode of the We Are Change talk show